I've created an iconic Pep tactic that won pretty much everything. However, today we're going to destroy it piece by piece until he's left with everything that he hates. This is destroying Guardiola. So what you see in front of you is my latest version of Pep's tactic. He changes them all the time, but this is the one that he's using more often than not at the minute. Key focus of the inverted wingback being Rico Lewis, the roaming midfielder, in this case Bernardo Silva, and two wide players in Savio and Grealish or Doku. And then you have this. This is the wheel of death for Pep. It's basically going to take all of his principles and switch them. On this wheel you have such things as switching his passing to direct football, his mentality to defensive, getting rid of work ball into box and adding shoot on sight, and even changing his players' player roles. So as always, this is the start point, and check it out. He absolutely blitzed the league as you'd expect. It's Man City after all, winning the league by 5 points from Liverpool and scoring 103 times. Not only that, but it won the Champions League and the FA Cup, but Liverpool did stop them winning the Carabao Cup. That's the start point. That's what it can achieve until this gets hold of it. We're going to spin this wheel at the start and then every 6 months of the season. So we go back to the start of the season. We'll load in the new Pep November 24 version. Patrons, you've got that already, and that is our start point. You can see it's a very daunting team, but that's what we start with. But we're going to go straight into it now with the first wheel spin to try and mess this up. Elephant in the room, Pep is doing a pretty good job of ruining his own tactic and legacy, isn't he? But never mind, let's see what we can do. And first of all, for the first 6 months, it's a slight change, but it might be quite a big one. It's add early crosses. Now, interestingly, a lot of City fans might say that this is one that they'd quite like to see with that absolute horse up front. So I think this could do quite well. Time will tell. The new philosophy seemed to be alright. It appeared Haaland was enjoying getting early crosses in the box, winning the Community Shield 6-1 against rivals Manchester United. There was also a demolition job of AC Milan in the Champions League, 6-1. So first thoughts are, it hasn't really affected them, and still sitting pretty on the top of the table by a whopping 13 points, only losing one match randomly to Ipswich. I mean, you'd tear your hair out, wouldn't you? Wow. If anything, it looks like a good plan B, that, just slotting in hits early crosses. Erling's injured for the next 3 weeks, so that might affect things, but so far, no massive change. Back to the wheel. So that wasn't the biggest change. They actually worked quite well with it, but now, the next 6 months of the season, a big change. A big part of Pep's play is the defensive line and the defence pushing right up, and now, instead of much higher defensive line, it drops to lower. This is a big change because their whole philosophy is pushing right up and squeezing the play. Now you're dropping a little deeper and you haven't got counter in. Trouble ahead, I think. Well then, the second half of the season was interesting as they used the low defensive line to their advantage against Arsenal away, hit them on the break, and Doku crosses it in. I mean, perfect. To my surprise, the second half of the season was pretty spectacular, completely outplaying Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-finals. First leg, the 1-2-1 thanks to another cross. Looking at the match stats, they probably should have scored more, because in the second leg, Real Madrid turned it round and just went through 3-2. However, in all other competitions, it was domination as they won the league again, FA Cup, and this time the Carabao Cup. So a domestic quadruple, and the Premier League was actually more impressive than the first season. They only lost 3 times, scored 100, only conceded 27. Well, that version is pretty good. That's a good alternative. So if you're going to use the first version, the unspoilt one, have this in tactic slot 2, and you've got 2 different versions of the same tactic. It's going far too well, this. As we head into season 2, will this one change things up a bit? And it's an interesting one because we're going to change a key player's role. De Bruyne is going to go to Ngonch and Silva role to ball-winning midfielder. So instead of messing with team instructions, we're going to mess with player roles. This dynamic role of De Bruyne, who this season managed to get 21 goals, 22 assists, he's going to change to a more stationary role in an Ngonch. This role is the Silva role, and as you can see from the player instructions, it's more the roamer, take more risks, get further forward, moving into channels. That is going to change to a destructive, ball-winning midfielder. Pretty much the polar opposite. I feel like those 2 roles that were key, they're going to mess with things a bit more than we think they might. So the De Bruyne role changed a bit. Specifically, he's gone. In his place, Grealish plays as an Ngonch. hasn't been great, 5 goals, 3 assists. They kept the Community Shield against Liverpool. The season as a whole has been a right mixed bag though. Anytime you win away at Liverpool's got to be a good thing, and they managed to do just that. And against some of their big rivals, they keep on winning. Interesting. However, they have slipped up on occasion, like against Southampton and Brighton, but they are still in the hunt, sitting second in the league, but they have already lost 5 massive matches. However, it's still having success, and in the Champions League, they beat Barcelona at the Nou Camp, and they're coasting in that, and they haven't lost yet. So with those 2 changes, it is amazingly still doing pretty well. Who would have thought that a 35-year-old Ilkay Gundogan was the chosen ball-winning midfielder? Also, to replace De Bruyne, they got Elise in for Bayern Munich. I think this shows the strength of the initial setup, because those 2 changes to the Ngonch and the ball-winning midfielder have definitely upset the apple cart a bit. They're far less fluid, but they're still winning enough matches. If you look in the league, for example, they've only scored 31 in 21 matches off 2 seasons where they've scored 100 twice. I feel like the downfall is now on the way. And you know something's not quite right when Haaland's only scored 10 in 18 league matches. So it's time to make things even worse. We've got a bit of momentum now in this destroy job. And next will be taking away his passing. So it's not going to be a massive change to this, but we're going to add run at defence. So the pass first philosophy is going to be kind of stopped by running at defence. By the way, there are just signs that the board are getting a little bit itchy.
Of course, yes.
Right then. This is the FA Cup quarter-final, and this is a defeat to Ipswich. How about our Carabao Cup? Yeah, this ain't good either. Arsenal beat us over 2 legs. However, in the Champions League, we beat PSG away in the last 16, but lost at home and got knocked out. In fact, the entire second half of the season was pretty up and down, more down than up. And we end up losing our other league title to Manchester United of all teams, and he's probably the reason why, their new manager, Unai Emery.
Good evening.
The board are not happy, but they are unbelievably giving us another season. Moves have been made to help us out a bit by signing Kamari from Salzburg and Sesko from Leipzig, and he'll be needed because Haaland's out for 5 months. Grim. Absolutely clinging on to our job now. Pep's tactic is getting shredded to bits, and next up, not going to be good. Not going to be good. Counter press is out of here. A major part of the philosophy of winning the ball back when you lose it has now gone. To be honest though, I still think this is the main culprit. Let's see how this season goes then. We've gone from this to just this. So it's a good job we are absolutely flying in the Champions League. Because in the league, we've lost 8 already and we are blooming 7th. 18 points behind Man United. Somehow the board are alright with everything. I would be amazed if we survive much longer. The second half of Season 3, we're still in the Cups by the way. I should point that out, we are still in the Cups. There's going to be a role change, so that right hand side is now going to be a defensive winger. So this role here, where Bernardo Silva is, now becomes a defensive winger. Just messing with Pep's stuff even more. In fact, because I believe the end might be nigh soon, let's do 2. So for the second wheel spin, the second half of Season 3, this is the final nail in the coffin. All defence to no nonsense. Playing out from the back, that beautiful Pep philosophy. Well now, all these 4 ain't going to do that. The inverted wing back on attack changes to a no-nonsense fullback. The 2 ball-playing defenders are now just normal, no-nonsense centre-backs, and the fullback, yeah. So obviously we're not going to win the league, but we do still have a chance of another treble, but now we might not, mate. You know what, if we are on the brink of the sack, let's make sure we completely smash that tactic up. Yeah, that'll do it. Probably the final nail in the Pep coffin, right? Direct passing to go along with everything else. Admit it, you didn't expect this, did you? A Haaland penalty means we win a trophy, but it won't be the FA Cup this year. But in the semi-finals of the Champions League, Ederson did that, sent us through to the final. However, this anti-pep tactic got found out by PSG, who'd brought in Osimhen and Kesse. Damn it. Also, in the league, we finished 6th. Way off. Yeah, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? But at least we've got the memories of this glorious anti-pep tactic. Sorry, big dog.